like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down with an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings. But now I shine with your reflection on me. I'm getting back up on my feet. That you showed up was written in my palm. You are a statement, explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. Yes, I'm the winner, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to quite possibly the first Chess Rush competitive match, at the very least, the first Chess Rush competitive tournament. My name is TJ, all by myself for now. I think we may be able to get Dominic in here in a moment, who's a good friend of mine. This is the Premier Gaming Co-op Clash. It's an invitational tournament. Here are the teams. We have 4 teams of 2. This is played in co-op mode. We're going to play 4 total games. After those 4 games, the team with the most points wins. Points are calculated based on how much HP you have left on your bar after you win. So if the same team wins 4 games in a row, then, well, it'll be real easy. But if it's close, that's what the breakdown comes down to. And the first game has just begun, so I'ma bring us right into it. Let me take out the music and bring in the game sound. So, another brilliant game of Chess Rush. If you haven't watched Chess Rush played at the highest level before, neither has anyone else. So welcome to the club. It should be an absolutely spectacular time. We're starting things off. Let's go over the teams, actually. Yikes and Jordy will be here together. I'm currently sitting on Jordy's POV. I hopped into the spectate on Yikes, so he'll be on our default throughout the day. Man with Gun or Man with Glass, sorry, and One Rain are a team. Absolute and Komodo are a team. And Viral and Iniri are a team. Nobody loses to the Boars. Thank God. This is the co-op mode, so you'll be able to swap characters back and forth. It looks like the Yikes side has started pretty standard. There's a Famine. There's a 2-star Goblin Rider. Jordy also has a Famine. He's going, it looks like, kind of the Hunter build. They're getting an extra Hunter out from the Passover, which is a lot of fun, actually. That's the Goblin Rider who's giving him the 3-star, or the 3 Hunter buff. Up at this top team, Viral has started things off also with a Famine. He's already gone 2 stars on that Famine. Then he's just got a smattering of everything. I particularly like the Witch Doctor. If you haven't seen high-level play, the Witch Doctor, especially during the early game, is a personal favorite of mine, because having that extra little bit of regen for a backline, say a 2-star Famine, can really pay off. Let's spread out just so we cover everyone before the first PvP round. This is kind of interesting that One Rain's actually already got a Punisher from that elf on the board, but I don't see this going in a specific direction, which is why he's now pulled out this Demon instead, and he's got the Beast buff. So that actually saves him a little bit. The Beast buff will, of course, grant you that extra attack damage, and the Demon buff, because he's only got one of them, this Scourge Rider will give him a little bit extra damage. He's paired up against Iniri, who we talked about earlier, kind of having a smattering of everything, but more importantly, that backline 2-star Famine. That should give him the fight here. I don't see a way for One Rain to be able to come out on top. Although, he is lasting an awful long time. These first round matches are always a little bit sketchy. But no, I was right. That's a solid double backline that Inari's actually already got. Let's throw over to him to see how he's building it out. So it's just this. Does he have any items on him? Uh-oh. Does he have any items on this boy? It looks like he's considering it. No items yet on Inari. I think Yikes just got a whole bunch of items, but he hasn't equipped any of them. Jordy, who we glanced at earlier, kind of the pairing to Yikes, they were going for that Hunter buff, and they do still have it. That's a combined effort. Jordy seems to also be going for Rider, which is very in the meta right now. I've been seeing a lot of people go for that Rider buff. Here's Inari facing him again. Well, let's just see if the Rider makes a difference. I suspect it might, because that shielding will take a few extra hits. They'll be able to overwhelm the front line. It's really just a question of whether or not the Famine gets aggroed in time. For now, he's actually coming out on top. Inari's Famine doing tons of damage from the backline, but it doesn't matter when there's so many frontline characters to eat those shots. That's the benefit of that Hunter buff. That's the benefit of Jordy having such a spread out collection of buffs on his front line right now, because he's getting the extra shielding from Warrior, the extra shielding from Rider. He's getting the extra shielding from Rider, the extra shielding from Beast, Furry, and the extra damage from Hunter all at the same time. So that's comboing to just him being able to outlast Inari's 2-star Famine in the backline. Yikes, dude. Don't you have the AWC later? Thanks, Neurosec. The AWC is concluded for this weekend, so I'm chilling. And this is the real Yikes. Komodo. I'm a little bit worried about this boy. He does have a 2-star Sorcerer in the backlines, but this full Sorcerer lineup isn't going to work during the early game. Whenever people go for these Sorcerers early on, I get very worried for them, because being ability-based characters, they struggle to win out those first few rounds. You need to be able to get the full mana charge in order to actually spend the abilities. So until Komodo gets either a solid enough front line that he can hold until those mana charges go off for the ability casts, or he gets late enough in the game that these ability casts are happening really, really fast, this roster just isn't going to work. Right now, he's relying exclusively on the Steelfist Cyborg to hold the front line. And he is an engineer that's very good as a tank during the early game. But I really don't like it. I think he's gotten really rough draws because the engineer doesn't quite have enough as we head to late. It doesn't scale in any way. He's now made the trade pulling in this Evergreen. But especially against OneRain, who's got so many riders, there's just no way this works out. Here comes the damage burst. If you're ever going to see a round turn for sorcerers, it comes when all those damage bursts come out from the full charge. But for now, Komodo's in real trouble. Let's throw over to Absolutely, because he's also suffering. This Komodo Absolutely team is right now right at the bottom of the card, having a very bad time of things. They have the Warlock buff, now a Demon in as well. That's 3 Warlocks. They're going for kind of a Warlock Goblin Sorcerer build here. So Komodo and Absolutely have kind of the same dilemma, and that is they have a ton of good ability-based characters, but if those abilities don't go off before they get overwhelmed, they are just going to die. Absolutely is doing a little bit better because he has the lifesteal from the Warlock, because he has 2 Warlocks. But I still don't see this working, because as you can see, they don't stay alive long enough for that lifesteal to matter in the face of just some good hard rush down during the early game. Now, if either Komodo or Absolutely can get a whole bunch of frontline to hold, then they're going to come out on top. Then they're good. But I really don't see Absolute getting that frontline before he's irreparably behind. Here is Yikes' draft again. His board still looking very rider-focused. I'll note what a good spread he has in terms of buffs. Because he's got now Goblin buff, Rider buff, Human buff, and Beast buff, with that Demon, of course, self-providing. So he's like right across the board, the base level benefit from almost every class. And you might worry this team doesn't have enough backline damage, but he's getting past that by Jordy as he hands over this Famine and this Frost Lotus. So you can see the Famine and the Frost Lotus will do the majority of this team's damage. Theoretically, the front line is held, but they just got demolished by One Rain. So I have to take a look at what One Rain's built in those last few moments that just let him overwhelm that. In particular, that 2-star Nightingale is terrifying, but I want to see how the full comp works before we offer too many thoughts on it. Okay, so this is a lot of fun, actually. He's going the Punisher Demon comp. So the way the Punisher buff works, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with it because it's kind of vague, but you can apply the Punisher benefits, basically, 35% physical damage to units in an AoE as well, to any demon on your team. He's got that 5-stack on the Punisher buff because demons count as Punishers, because he had 3 of them. So now, he's going to be doing some mad damage. I don't know how well this scales towards the late game, but I do really think One Rain's got a good start here. You can see exactly how deadly it is. He's also got the benefit of a 2-star Forest Breath. That's Ranged Hunter Elf, just sitting in the backline and chipping away over time. So this is a real solid setup from One Rain. Let's turn our eyes back towards that Komodo Absolute duo at the bottom of the scorecard right now, because they're the players that need to pick things up if they want to turn things round. We have an item round, so let's focus on what they currently have out. Absolute as 39 HP is the lowest player currently on the board. He's not really solved the issue I drew our attention towards earlier. I said he needed a better front line in order to come out on top here. And right now, he's not really fixed it. He's got a 2-star Werewolf, and that'll help. But I do think against a lot of the more rushdown-focused teams, they're still going to get to his backline. Now, one thing that will start to help him, he's got, I think, 3 stacks. I'll have to check. No, he doesn't have the Warlock buff. I thought he did, but he must have dropped it somewhere. So he doesn't even have that bonus lifesteal that I was all hyped up about. Oh, no, he does. Two there. I got auto-switched to Yikes. I apologize. I'm still new to this spectator mode. So he does have the Warlock buff, and that's the one thing that might start to help him. That 2-stack on the Warlock buff will give you a 15% lifesteal, which is great, but they're going to struggle to keep that backline alive until it starts to add up. On the plus side, he's almost got a 3-star Frost Lotus, so if things go well, maybe Absolute can survive. He's got to just stay alive for a couple more rounds now, though. And his Werewolf, you can see, does fall. Now his backline is going to start to get chewed on, and it's just a question of whether or not they have enough damage. That was a good burst of damage from his backline Sorcerers, but it just wasn't enough, especially because they're so easy to kill in comparison. So he's in real trouble now. 32 HP. Let's do a check-in of the top of our card. Viral currently leading the way. And my god, is this a good setup on his board. So you got the Devourer Punisher. Oh my god, now a 4x Rider buff. That's the second tier, which will give a 45% chance for all of his ally riders to have 185 armor and 65 magic resistance. So they're all swole as heck, and he's got the backline damage to help him out, because Iniri's passing him... Here, let's go back here. Iniri's passing him this 2-star Famine and 2-star Miss Superzone. So that's just absolutely lethal, because he's got one of the tankiest front lines on the board, comboed with this real solid backline. Komodo, though, seems to have turned this. Both the backline damage sources are still up, so I hesitate to call it, but Komodo's done it. Oh my god! I take it back! The Supersonic gets their ability off, and Komodo does not manage to pass go. But let's look at the composition that saved Komodo from losing yet another mark of HP, and is maybe going to salvage his team right now. So he's gone kind of a Druid route here. The Druids are fun. Does he have another Druid? No, he does not. The druids are fun if you can get one or two of them, because they are very good for rubber banding. They get you back in a game you've been knocked out of quite easily. But he's going to need to get a couple more of them, I think, on the board before they start adding up to actually discounting his units. Oh. So his backline is all mage, his frontline is all rider. This composition will work out if the mages get real good ults. You can see there, they add up. But if they don't do enough, if they don't literally wipe the opposition, he's still always going to be overwhelmed. That was the same problem Absolute was having. Status report on him. Barely. Oh, no. Not scraping out a win. The pet does it against him. Absolute still on 19 HP, which is real rough, but he's still the closest, I think, to a 3-star across the card. So he's got to be pretty happy about that. There's the Druid. This is kind of the rubber banding I was talking about. Of course, if you get the Druids, they let you upgrade easier. You only need 2 Druids to get a 2-star. So it's kind of fun that he's going that route because it will let them get back in this game a little bit quicker. I'm going to... My kind of ethos for presenting this game for now is to sit towards the players that are in danger of being eliminated. I think that will tell us the best stories. This is Yikes, who's the lower member of that top team. He was providing the damage for Jordy, kind of passing it over. But you can see he himself doesn't have very much on the front line. Lots of damage, not much in defense. So this is a little bit of what I see sometimes referred to as the pet rush coming out now from Absolute, as he's able to get himself set up with a ton of those pets coming out, especially from the Warlock as well. They're going to be real hard to kill. The Warlock buff, of course, gives them lifesteal. The Beast buff has the chance to summon an additional pet. So he's going to have too many characters on the board, basically. And that's real scary to play against sometimes. I said we'd watch people that were about to get knocked out. Man with Glass is actually in a lot of trouble here. He's currently at 30 HP. Let's keep an eye on what he's doing right. He was the one going that kind of demon build we talked about, Punisher into demon. And he's also got a fair amount of elves and riders, but he's not especially focused on anything, which is beginning to add up against him. I like that he's got double rider for the front line, and I like the fact that he's going towards the elves. Those are all good options, but I think he's a little bit too spread out right now. Our main man, Yikes, is actually also suffering a bit as well. He's knocked down to the 50 HP mark currently. But let's focus our attention over towards Absolute, because he is about to be knocked out. He has only got 19 HP. These last few rounds have been a real turnaround for him. He finally kind of crossed the limit on that Beast Warlock comp to give him enough pets, enough extra lifesteal from his allies on the map that he's beginning to just overwhelm defenses. You can see how many extra pets get summoned at the start of that round. It's like a little bit gross to deal with. And it sure adds up, especially with the lifesteal. Those pets just stay alive. Man with Glass hit hard there. That shuffles things round. Man with Glass now on 12 HP. Despite Aniri doing quite well, that drags them down. Man with Glass, let's take a look at his setup once we get properly back into things. Give me your setup. Alright. So we have 4 Punisher. The front line is this Hog Rider Scourge combo, and that's a little bit weak as far as frontline tanks go. Then in the back line, the Everbloom, the Totem Face are going to be doing a lot of the damage. If the Devourer gets to Demon form, that's real scary as well. The primary source of damage, of course, though, is this Nether Prince comboed with the Forest Breath. But I'm a little bit worried about his front line. I think he'll get overwhelmed. Here's Aniri to face him. You can see all that backline sniping that Aniri's built up, overwhelming the front line, as I was talking about. There's just so little HP on many of them. That means that all of this backline damage now has access to supposedly the damage dealers who just are going to struggle to trade even. And it's 5 HP now on Man with Glass. Komodo also got shut down. One rain took him down to 9 HP. We could see our first few victims here. Let's stay with Man with Glass because he's a little bit lower. He's gonna turn this round. He's in a very frustrating position. He's on the cusp of being able to get a couple 3 stars, but he just can't do it. And if you look at his current gem count, or sorry, mana crystal, I call them gems, but that's because I don't read well enough, apparently. He's got exactly 1. He's broke. It's worse than my PayPal account. And that's going to really hurt him. Here's Jordy to face. Jordy, of course, currently on top of the cards because he has a lot of backline sorcerers. This may seem to be going all right, but you saw that burst of damage come through. My God, it was good. It's just as Devour to save the day, and he's got it. It's a time. Nicely done. The Devourer does it for him. Komodo, in the meantime, gets dropped down. Let's keep our eye on Absolute with 2 HP. Can Absolute do it? Komodo and Absolute are, of course, if they lose this, the first team to be eliminated. The way the scoring works, we keep track of how many points the winning team has after they win. Points, of course, being their combined HP amount. So right now, Yikes and Jordy are, of course, tearing it up. Should they win this match, we will record how much HP they have left after winning and put it in the scorecard you can see in the bottom right. At the end of the tournament, the team with the most points will be the winner. We play 4 games. Let's throw it over Absolute, because that was kind of who we were paying attention to. 5 HP on Man with Glass as well. Absolute struggling against Yikes here. You can see all those big AoE mana abilities coming through. Oh, maybe the save? No, the Frost Lotus can't do it. 0 HP, and he's gone as well. I think we also lost Man with Glass that round, so One Rain's all alone. Iniri is currently dragging his way through this game. Let's keep our eye on One Rain, as he's going to have to compensate well for his now lost teammate. But he's doing quite well in the HP department at 82 points. He's got a 2-star Executioner, which isn't bad at all. This is the Punisher Demon comp that's going real well for him. Oh my God, full Punisher Demon comp. There's so much fire. And he's got the Sharky Boy, King of the Sea. Not the most deadly character, but if you get his ult off, it gets scary. I typically find he dies a little bit too quickly for me. But if you can get him to 2-star, that does make a difference. So this is looking real good right now for Jordy and Yikes, that top team on the cards. You can see they're currently doing the best as a team in economy, with 56 crystals for Jordy, 27 on Yikes. Iniri does have more with 65 crystals in his bank, but his teammate has just 7, so it kind of undoes it. Iniri, also the lowest on HP, still on the board here. He's currently against Yikes. His backline setup here is what's impressive to me. He's got a ton of ranged damage dealers, a 4x on the Hunter buff. I'd imagine he's trying to chase that 6x, and you can see that working out for him. Provided his frontline holds, these backline characters are going to win out. But what Yikes did to turn this was his backline mages just overwhelmed the frontline. Mages don't care if you have a whole bunch of beefy boys up front, because they have so much big AoE on their ability casts that gets to the backline anyway. So even though Iniri has 3 2-star hunters in the backlines, sorry, 4 2-star hunters in the backlines, it did not matter because those frontline characters weren't able to stop the literal force of the wind that was blowing over their heads. If he wants to change that, one of the best ways to get back at mages, stop them from getting their abilities off, is to pull out either a hunter or an assassin that can get real quick into their backline, or he can invest in a little bit more frontline pressure to occupy them during the early game. This round's gone real well for Iniri because he already shut down that General of War, but his frontline just got melted by the mages, so I speak too soon. This could be game for Iniri, and it is. Jordy grabs the kill. All right, Man with Glass fell that round as well. That One Rain currently, or sorry, One Rain got the round against Yikes. That puts One Rain at the top of the card, despite the fact that Man with Glass is down. He's only got 2 more HP than Jordy, but because Jordy's average is compared against Yikes's, as a team, they have a lower average HP. Doesn't actually count for anything, but it lets One Rain say he's currently on top. There are currently 4 players left, the only complete team still left, Jordy and Yikes, which I think does look good for them, but One Rain's full demon comp here is real scary. Jordy to face. This is the backline mages we were talking about. Still only 2 stars on either side. Here come the backline mage ability casts from Jordy. They're real deadly. And that should be him winning another round. Uh-oh. I keep underestimating the power of those Devourers, but it wasn't able to turn it, even though it did make it much closer than it should have been. That finally knocks One Rain down to the 2nd slot. Let's throw our eyes over towards Viral, who's currently sitting at the bottom of the card. He just wants, I think, to outlast One Rain. If he can get his team into the top 2, he's all right with that. Of course, point scoring this game in this tournament is determined by how much HP you have left over. So the fact that Jordy and Yikes currently have, oh god, help me do math, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1,100 HP in the bank combined, means that they're looking real good. I misdid that math. 1,200 HP. Here's the damage from the backline. Oof. Jordy doing a ton with those mages still. No good answer. So he'll go down. Viral in trouble. If they can't get some more chip HP off Jordy and Yikes have built themselves out such a strong lead. That would be 120 in their bank. 120 HP is nothing to sneer at. In order to overcome that lead, someone else would have to win at least 1 game as dominantly. Of course, it is game 1 of 4, so there are plenty more chances, but you don't want to start like that, to say the least. We have an item round coming up, so we can chill, provided nobody's in real trouble here. And I hope nobody loses. I would be disappointed. It's interesting to me that Yikes and Jordy were the only players to get to this point as a 2-man unit. Almost every team immediately had one player start to lag behind the other. And I'd be curious to see what it was that changed that. I noticed some of the item sharing on Komodo and Absolute. It took them a while to start properly sharing units. So that might have been what made the difference for them. But Viral and Neri were sharing units. Currently, if Jordy and Yikes win without losing another point of HP, they will have 107 points in the bank. Let's keep our eyes towards Viral, as he is kind of the boy right now. Versus Yikes, his backline hunters need to do the work. You can see he's got a fair amount of elves, so he'll get good dodges. Here come the mages, though. I don't think they did enough. He might still have this. Oh, no. There's the second mage strike. And that will be the round. I think that's enough to knock him out, too. Oh, 8 HP. He's fine. One Rain did lose his match as well. But I don't... So what does One Rain build at this point? Is he just looking for 3 stars? He is. He has a 3-star Nightingale. That's not bad at all. Is that the only 3-star on the board? Looks like it is. Oh, no. There's a 3-star Everbloom here, which actually is real good. Everbloom, people kind of sleep on her, but as you can see, Everbloom currently doing 8k damage for him. Like, that's a ton of damage. Everbloom will summon these smaller flower blossoms that all do a ton of damage themselves. So if the rounds go long, they just fly all over the place and it adds up. This is Yikes' mage comp, though, and I'll tell you about blowing up. That should be the game. Nothing that can be done about that. Jordy comes out on top of One Rain as well, and that means it is just One Rain. If he can't turn this round, if One Rain can't win 1 or 2 rounds here, then it will be a truly astounding lead to Jordy and Yikes in their first game. Not insurmountable. We have 4 games to go. One Rain at the very least, though, is looking to take a few rounds off of Jordy and Yikes. What's he looking for in the draw? Ooh, he just sold one of his Devourers. He has 2 stars on this Executioner. If he gets 2 more Executioners, he's doing well. He could also have a 3-star. Oh, definitely could have a 3-star on his Lilith as well. There's the 3-star Nightingale going down, though, and that's trouble. Yikes. I think cast this. They're all so low, and I underestimate the Devourer yet again. His damage adds up, and One Rain finally gets something back. That'll be Yikes knocked down to 16 HP. Every little amount One Rain can get here matters a ton. If One Rain gets a few more points off of Yikes, if One Rain even takes Yikes out of the game, all of a sudden the HP total that this Jordy Yikes team would win with falls astronomically. Everyone is currently broke. Nobody's got enough to buy. But with some creative selling, it's now almost all 2 stars here for Yikes. He's a little bit behind. I'm actually kind of amazed how wussy this composition is by comparison. He's got a 6-stack on the Rider, but none of them are level 3. His human buff is also 6-stack. So he's looking for a lot of quick ability casts, but he doesn't have the mages to take advantage of it. One Rain's backline does hold through it again. He's got to have this Warlock Prince go big, though. This Demon Prince. Lilith in the backlines with the resets. Oh, but the mages come through. One character turns the tables. A reprieve for both teams now as we get to an item round. What's One Rain currently at with his 20 HP? 3-star on the Lilith. That's going to really add up. You want the survivability on the Lilith is real scary. It's interesting to me that he just pulled his Hero of War out, replacing him with the Executioner. You just saw that exchange happen. The reason why that's surprising to me is a lot of the time the logic I see players go with is the Hero of War's stun, that big sword that falls down. I'm sure it's got a sick ability name, but I can't pull up his character model. There it is. Light of. That's actually not a sick ability name. Anyway, that stun is massive, because during the period the giant sword stun has taken everyone on the map out of commission, everyone else on your team is still doing damage. So if you have a team that's otherwise doing a lot of damage, the stun gives you like a second of extra free unresponded damage, which can change the course of the game. But One Rain trades him out, thinking that this 2-star Executioner is still better. He did just get a Gumu. That's kind of fun. He's re-rolling as much as possible here. Upgrades to a 2-star on his Scourge. There's a 3-star Scourge to the front lines, and that buys space. Nicely done. Does that win it? He's got a lot of 3-stars. He's got to make this count. One Rain against Jordy. That's not his ideal target. He wants to roll for Yikes, ideally. But he may still be able to overwhelm this. Look at the Lilith into the backlines. Tightly focused. Does a lot of AoE damage. The Warlock on the back does a lot too, but the Hero of War adds up. Jordy overwhelms him. They can't get the kill in time. And just like that, it will be game number 1 going well. Oh, but even as I spoke, One Rain took out Yikes. Maybe I speak too soon. One Rain on 14 HP, holding strong. Even though he won his game. This is real scary. Jordy went from possibly being able to get 100 and I think it was 20 HP for his team in the 120 points on the win. It's now in serious chance of losing it, because he did just lose the opportunity to swap around the characters with Yikes. One Rain's got nothing left on the bench. This is just positioning that matters now. My invitation's expired, if you must know. Oh, that's real good. Lots of good stun, but the backline damage. Watch this Demon Prince. It's going to add up. The Lilith through as well, and One Rain's done it again. Another notch off Jordy's HP. A Gumu. Alright, where's Jordy at? He's looking to upgrade. He doesn't have a second. He's actually got no upgrades he can run. That's real scary for Jordy, I think. He's got no upgrades he can build towards. One Rain, by contrast, is currently sitting on an opportunity. If he gets the Executioner or he gets the King of the Sea, he can instantly have a 2-star of those. Of course, if it's the Executioner, that also means a 3-star. So his roles are a lot more interesting. I don't think there's anything Jordy can pull out. Let's stay on Jordy's perspective here. Playing defense as One Rain pushes forward. The Warlock doing so much damage. There's the Sea as well. You can see the Lilith working away at his mage backline. None of those mages got their full combos off, and now the backline range damage adds up. He's down to 41 HP. One Rain might have this, because I don't see a way for Jordy to... Oh, he's got the Gubu! Okay, he can't use it. He can't use it on anything interesting there. So he actually sells both flame coolers. I really like that. Because best case scenario for him there, he got a 3-star flame cooler, but there's no way that solves his problems. His issue is not that he doesn't have enough backline damage, it's that he can't hold against the frontline burst. So he took the gamble, he sold everything. You can see from the fact he has 0 mana crystals that he actually failed to draw anything, though. That means we're right where we started. One Rain hasn't used the Gumu for anything. We're watching now from One Rain's perspective. He should win this again. No major shifts in positioning happens. So failing spectacular RNG, he's out on top. And now, just 26 HP on Jordy. Let's watch his POV. Chat has actually pointed this out. This General of War isn't doing enough. He keeps dying real fast. And he'll be shuffled around there. Maybe you take him over to the side. It's difficult for One Rain because this Lilith keeps getting into his backline. I'd be real tempted to start... Oh, the Gubu for the 2-star General of War. You can do it. He's not. He's sitting on it. Okay, actually, that makes sense. He's going to win versus this item round. The Feasting Dragon should lose to him. So, save, see if you get anything better on the next draw. But anyway, his problem is that that Lilith keeps getting to his backline and stopping his mages from hitting maximum effectiveness. One of the things that could help with that would be the General of War landing a good stun. One of the other things that would help... Oh, 2 Gumus. He just sold... He just sold the Wind Mage. I'm blanking on her name. But he just sold the Wind Mage for an extra roll. 9 crystals in the bank. Can he afford to lose another round? Probably. The Gumu over on One Rain's side was burned or used. I don't see what it was used on. Jordy gets a second 2-star General of War here. That'll help him tremendously. Look for those stuns to change the battle here. Especially now that they can take a few hits in the front line. Oh, he loses so much of his front line, but there is the big sword through. 1 stun out, only 1, as his General of Wars are both focused down. The backline Frost Lotus, though, pays dividends, and One Rain turns the tables. That is yet another win in the bank. Both players actually won on their screens, though, so nobody's HP goes down. Fun little mechanic. The 3-star Nightingale. Oh, he's chasing him. Jordy shifts the 3-star Nightingale over here. General of War gets moved back. There's the 3-star back. Oh, has he got him? The game of footsies ends. The Nightingale admits defeat. Both Generals of War are moved to the backlines. Watch for those big stuns. There's 1 sword. 2 swords through. That turns the tables. Jordy out on top. Now looking to contest close range, and he's got it again. The two Generals of War turning the table. One Rain finally loses. That's 3 HP on his screen. We'll keep an eye on that. One Rain with 3 HP. He loses a round from here. It is the game. That would leave Yikes and Jordy's team with a grand total of 26 points out of game 1. There are, of course, 4 games in this tournament. Well, show match more than anything, but